Greetings, everyone. In the last video, I was playing around with the concept of somebody playing a flying V guitar while wearing cool Chuck Taylor shoes. And after that video was over, I just was still sitting around sort of doodling, and I was just kind of playing around with changes that possibly one could make or whatever, just for fun. Not that that matters very much. Not everything in my sketchbook, I'm going to have a video for or whatever, but just so you can see, I was still kind of playing around with the idea of that versus that kind of cartoony thing. So anyway, let's move on to the next thing. Now, this may not matter to some of you in the great scheme of things, what today is, February the 9th, but to me, it doesn't really mean a lot. Not very nice of me to say. This is Superbowl Sunday, and I'm not really that into it. It's not something that matters a lot to me in a way, but I'm going to draw something sort of related. At least what comes to my mind anyway. I think overall, what the Super Bowl kind of represents is a spectacle of some kind. And let's zoom in on this just for fun. But yeah, no, it's not really something that I'm into. I know for a lot of people, it's sort of like the greatest drama. It's like a soap opera. It's where people's dreams of, when they start the game as a player, this is what they dream about. It is a big deal. Not to me. I don't play the game. So yeah, no, I'm just goofing off with something anyway. A funny idea. What I think about this game. Now, mostly, I think the thing that I end up kind of paying the most attention to in the days that follow, because I very rarely would watch the actual football game itself, is the highlights that include the halftime show and, of course, the commercials. That's always been sort of the big deal about the Super Bowl, and that such and such a company, they would have spent, millions of dollars to air a commercial during the Super Bowl. Again, it's kind of that, just a big spectacle. You have millions of people watching. Now, I'm just going to make some petals here. So yeah, well, hopefully some of you aren't mad at me for mentioning that. But yeah, Super Bowl is not my thing. I'm always happy to hear that somebody, their dreams come true and that kind of stuff. Their childhood dreams, all their training came to this. That I think is great. I like the stories. So this is going to start off looking kind of messy, which I'm fine with. And as with a lot of my doodles in my sketchbook, I don't always pre-pencil but we'll fill it in a little bit more and more as we're moving along. So yes, feel free to draw along with me. You'll see the runtime of the video so you know how long you have to hear me rambling on about silly stuff. Let's speed up production on these. But let it close in a little bit more. So how's your weekend going, everybody? I hope everything's going well. If you are watching the Super Bowl and you're watching this sometime later, that is fine. I suppose if you're crafty, you would use a geometry compass so that you can get the outer circumference of these petals taken care of. So that their spacing isn't so strange. That is okay. By no means do we have to be perfectly accurate to the flower itself. So yes, today's game, and I know I keep mentioning it, is between the Eagles and the Chiefs. And at first I thought, oh, it'd be kind of entertaining to do a doodle that would pertain to, like, let's say mascots doing battle. That would be kind of funny. Then, I don't know, I just didn't really feel like it. So here I am, drawing an unnecessary daisy. You'll see why soon enough. So let's add a little bit of, we'll call these shade texture. For where these petals would have grown from. So that doesn't look so bad. Let's zoom back out again. It's kind of fun to come up with ideas, and they don't have to be memes. They can be related to whatever you like. Funny moments. Just little cartoony things are okay. Trying to remember exactly how I'm going to make this look. Remember a couple of days ago, if you've seen the video, I would have drawn like a, let me go in here a little bit. I would have drawn an astronaut. Well, here's another one. Some of you might see where I'm going right now. Feel free to get ahead of your buddy drawing a picture here as you see fit. Now it looks like I've doodled a plant. It's always been sort of one of those background things that happens in the music industry. Sometimes you hear it that some people are referred to as plants. I don't know how much truth there is in that kind of stuff. I do truly believe, though, that sometimes they will invest heavier with certain artists than they do with others. I don't think that makes them a plant. And sometimes it's about how the artist looks, how the artist could be related to somebody. There's a lot of reasons why it seems like somebody might get famous as opposed to somebody else. Oh, let me move this down here a little bit. Now, every so often, there's something that seems to happen, and it makes you shake your head. Why does this happen? Or how come this could be allowed to take place? Those kind of moments are always strange to me. This to me is just a funny idea. Something that the majority of us should be long since over with. But this is what I think of still too often to this day. And it's not really fair, I suppose. It's kind of unfortunate, truth be told. Right now, I'm drawing a cactus. Wearing kind of like an armband, a couple armbands. That's funny. This type of plant is referred to as a succulent. And I guess the reason for that is that they can survive reasonably well in areas where they don't get a lot of water. So they will hold on to that water in their systems. Which is pretty cool. I don't know what of those types of plants, if you're out in the desert and you happen to see one, that you could actually get fluid out of it for your own survival sake. Because some of them I think would be kind of toxic too. But for the most part, their defense mechanism are these little spikies that grow out of them. And that's what keeps, creatures that don't have thumbs or carry like the means by which to get into them, whereas humans might. So yes, I don't know if you guys are catching on to my doodle. So sometime back in September of 2009, it's a pretty famous incident that took place on stage at an awards show. Yeah, it was pretty controversial. Now let's see if we can change this just a little bit. Darken the outline just a little bit. And we'll throw a little bit of color on it just because. Doesn't really need a lot. The cactus itself doesn't need much more than just the green. And we'll see what kind of green. Maybe we'll use like a marker. I think that's kind of fun. We'll fix the glasses up just a little bit too. Let's look at this mouth here. I think a lot of us were kind of disappointed by this. Because I think, for the most part, most people kind of get that award ceremonies are kind of like, well, they're part popularity contests. And then another thing is, they're really just another promotional tool for a lot of the artists. Now, for some, you know, they consider that it can make or break their careers. Let me set that aside. And just trying to think. Yeah, that's probably a good zoom there. Now, let's see what kind of green this will look like. Now, often I like to start on the outside for coloring purposes. It just gives me more mistake line. So if I'm a little more careful at this stage, then I can really get quick with the filling in of the rest of it. There's something I know people are into, and maybe we'll give that a shot as well, because I've seen some pretty cool videos. I know people that are into coloring books, and they do beautiful work just coloring them in and taking it sort of serious as well. Now let's use the same green for our daisy friend. And we'll let this one kind of fill in. So the daisy itself doesn't need a lot of color. I'll do the face in yellow. So yes, this little award that I made extra small is referred to as the Moon Man. Now here's the next thing. These I'm going to highlight with a little bit of green. I don't know if any of you have ever sustained a fun little injury from a cactus. Handling one, it is not much fun. And that's what makes those a pretty good deterrent. Now, what I'm going to do is a light coloring, because I will do the brush and water technique to spread this out a little bit. Which is typical of me to do, of course. Let's quickly do this on the face here. Yes, this was a terrible moment that made us kind of cringe. It was super cringy. Very much unnecessary. Just quickly fill this in. Let the colors kind of blend together a little bit. We can fix it up after if we need to. Do a little bit here. All right. that's kind of interesting. Now clean the brush a little bit. Next thing that we'll do is we'll just get a little bit of this to move around. A little bit in here. Kind of weird, huh? Add a little bit of depth of the ones that are kind of in behind a little bit. Next, let's just do a quick little scrub, possibly with the microphone. We're going to add a little bit of this, and then we'll go with some ink as well. Now we'll do a final bit of correction if we need it on a couple of these spots that got a little blurry. So, I think some of you now know or have an idea of what controversial sort of thing that happened that I'm doodling out here. This was an incident that had rapper producer Kanye West introduce himself as somebody who didn't mind taking away another person's moment with an interruption, which turned out to be, if he just held on. Anyway, no, I think a lot of people were kind of like shocked that he did this to Taylor Swift. Definitely a bad timing moment, an unnecessary thing to do to another person at an award ceremony that in the great scheme of things is just a promotional thing for the artists. And in a lot of ways, and I'm sure that he would say this too, people talked about this. So that, let's say it made her famous. She was already famous, but a lot of people talked about this incident of Taylor Swift. Just sort of, yeah, getting steamrolled with an inner... anyway, yeah, just an interruption from somebody that just couldn't hold on. And of course, Beyonce, later on that evening, made sure that Taylor got her moment. You know, thank your producers and all that kind of stuff. So, hooray, I guess. Okay, so I don't think I need to do much more than that. I think you guys get the idea. So that's kind of what I think of when I think of tonight's game. Is I'm thinking of not so much about the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. To me, it's kind of the show of Taylor Swift again, and hopefully no interruptions from Kanye. I think that's all for now, just for the doodle's sake. It's a little under 40 minutes. And yeah, come back and hang out again sometime, and we'll see what other kind of fun stuff we can come up with. Hilarious. The Moon Man. All right, folks. Have a great day.